Hello, everyone, and welcome to AYSO Region 1 Game Card Basics for U10. We are assuming there are 10 players and that there are 10 players' numbers on the card, and we're going to walk through some game card basics so we can remember how to get this right. Going to the next slide. So here's an example of a completed game card before the game starts and before you've marked any substitutions. The game card should have the team number. It can have the team name. Team name is good. Coach names are good and important, but team number is what's really important here. Date is also important. Time will go on the back of the card. Substitutions, the X's for people sitting out, and goalkeeper should not be marked before the game begins. We don't know what's going to happen during the game, so what if something changes? Then we have crisscrosses and marking other stuff on top of it, and it's all very confusing and hard to read. Everything should be legible. If the top of the card is not filled out completely by the coach, give it back to the coach and ask them to fill it out completely and legibly. All right, so now, just before the game starts, the assistant referee one usually, depending on what your referee decides, will mark in who's sitting on the bench. In this scenario, we have one player absent, we have 10 players, and we have one player absent for the first quarter. She may arrive later, so we're going to mark an A for absent. Now you can note we have 7 players on the field because we have 2 players sitting out and 1 player absent, and then we're going to use a G, not a K, to mark the goalkeeper, because K, some people use it for keeper, and it makes sense, but it looks really like an X. So please use G, which is very hard to confuse with an X. And you can count down and see you have 3 players out. So you have 10 players. That means you have 7 players on the field, the right number. You have 1X, 2X, 1A. That makes 3 players out. That means I have 7 players on the field. Nice and easy. Okay, now we've finished the first quarter, and there really are no quarters in soccer, but we're doing this for AYSO so everyone can play. And we've noted that player number 9 has now arrived, and she's been checked in. Yes, I forgot to check them in on the first card. But everyone had a check, and she had a dash, and now she's been checked in, so she's safe to play. But she's arrived, so she's no longer marked with an A. But that quarter that she was out because she was absent doesn't count against the coach. So if he decides not to play her another quarter, it's okay because she was absent for one of the quarters, so it doesn't count against the coach. So again, there are 3 players not on the field, so there should be 7 players. So we've got 3 X's this time, and we count the X's, and that tells us that we've got 7 players on the field, and again, we mark the goalkeeper. Remember that goalkeepers in U10 can play half the game in goal, so it's okay if we had the same person in twice. All right, game card before Q3. So we've had our halftime, we've marked down our substitutions, but player number 4 is not feeling well or got hurt or something, so we're going to use an I to mark injury. It also works equally well for illness. So we're going to use I. We're not going to write sick. We're not going to write something else. We're going to use an I. Again, to note that they didn't play, but it doesn't count against the coach. She's sitting out, so now we only need 2 X's in player number 7 and player number 10, and we have a different goalkeeper this quarter. If someone were to get injured or feel sick and needs to come out during the quarter, there is no need to mark that on the card. It's not about who ended the quarter, and you don't have to reflect who ended the quarter that someone came out. It's about who began the quarter. All right? All right, now we've finished our third quarter. We've called for substitutions, and we have a different goalkeeper, and we've marked 3 people on the bench. Player number 4 is feeling better, so she's not back in the game, but again, that doesn't count against the coach because she was ill, right? She sat out 2 quarters, but even if someone else had played the whole game, she was ill. She couldn't play, so it doesn't count against him. He hasn't violated any substitution rules by having her out twice. Also, number 9 sat out 2 quarters because she was absent for a quarter. But again, that's okay. 1, because everyone on this card sat out at least 1 quarter. But 2, if she was absent, she couldn't play. If she was injured, she couldn't play, so it doesn't count against the coach. If a player does arrive after the game starts, the rule is they only need to play half of the game. All right. Also, please, please, please to remember to complete the back of the game card. And what's really important for the people tabulating is the number. To have blue up there is really nice, but that's not what they need. They need to know who won the game. So, and you can see the 2-0 at halftime, and that is G04, and the 2-1 at final score, and that's G04. It's not blue. We don't want the tabulator staff to go back and translate, oh, blue, which one is that? That's team 4. That's extra work for them. They just need to know the winning team. We don't even have numbers in the online system where we record scores and goals and all that. So you do want to put the coach names, or the ref names, excuse me, not coach names. We do have those. The phone number fields are optional there because we don't really need them. We can look that up later. This whole preliminary incident report part, if nothing happened during the game, no serious incident happened, generally, I don't generally see this filled out unless the coach were really out of hand or a parent were really out of hand. We might need to make a note. But down here, the signatures, we don't need to sign the card. Note that it says right here, signatures only needed if additional information is included in the preliminary incident report. So you don't have to sign it. But I really highly recommend that you do try and fill out all this information as much as you can before the game starts, at halftime, etc. If you have to rush off and ref another game, it's good to have all this completed before the game is over. And it's something you can do. If you have a little bit of time, it can be a lot neater and easier for our tabulators to read. So we want to stress clarity. We want to make sure we use an A for absence, an I for injury or illness, but don't mark anything down if a player comes out during the quarter. We want to make sure everything's using the team number and that we can read everything on the card. And that are game card basics for AYSO Region 1. Thank you.